March 11th, 2011, a devastating earthquake and tsunami hit Japan. 20,000 people died. As the nation struggled with rescue efforts, it also faced the worst nuclear emergency since Chernobyl. Explosions and leaks of radioactive gas took place in 3 reactors at the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power station, causing them to melt down. We are here today to remember the victims of Japan's multiple disasters and to call attention to the ongoing threat of nuclear power, both around the world and here in our own region. Shortly after the explosions at the power plant, I received the following prayer request from a Japanese monk via email. I'd like to share it with you, and after I finish reading it, I'd like you to all join in taking some deep breaths silently in and out through your heart center, and if you are so moved, to join the Sahara Peace Choir in chanting a healing sound from the center of your heart. It could be Om, it could be Ah, it could be Hu. Just a sound from the center of your heart. If you'll excuse me, I'll just get the prayer request. After sunset, we need strong power of prayer. Please let me deliver the message to as many people as possible. We can stop this earthquake with our prayers, but right now, the nuclear plant is in danger. Please heal the suffering, sadness, anger, worry about nuclear plants. Please do not think that this accident will bring justice. Please care for each other. The energy toward conflict and fight is also fueling the things happening right now. Please stop the conflict and stop the fight and change the worrying voice to the power of prayer. Please pray that as many people as possible can be saved. We will be okay. If our hearts start connecting with each other, the earth will be healed. There are the sounds, vibrations that can release the karma of earth. Anyone who can make a prayer sound, anyone who can do Reiki, anyone who can do long-distance healing, please direct your energy to the center of Japan. If you can sing, please sing. Humming is fine too. Let the earth listen to the sound. Please send gratitude to the earth. If Mother Earth wakes up, everything will stop. Please send your prayer to the earth and wake up the spirit.
My name is Mary Olson, and I am blessed in this life to have a very large family. And all of you, by being here right now, are part of this very large family. We used to say small world. No, this is not a small world. This is an enormous, beautiful blue planet. And we are a very large family. Today and this week, 27 states and the District of Columbia are celebrating, vigiling, rising. The federal government put together a committee a year and a half ago called the Blue Ribbon Commission for America's Nuclear Future. But our family is reaching out, and our family is rising, and our family is connecting with itself and each other to say our future is nuclear free. Our future is nuclear free. We are rising in 26 states, in hundreds of events in the United States, on every continent, in Argentina, in Brazil, in Canada, in Sweden, in Switzerland, in Austria, in Australia, in Germany, in Russia, in China, and today and tomorrow and the next day all over Japan, vigiling and mourning. 20,000 people lost to a tsunami, 120-foot tall wall of water. It's not a wave, it's the ocean having risen 120 feet up and coming inland. And then when it recedes, it takes with it 20,000 people. But before the tsunami, on March 11th, the fourth largest earthquake recorded in history hit a nuclear power station with 6 units. Happily, 3 of them were defueled. But in those first minutes of the quake, it went on for 6 whole minutes, that quake. Structures were cracked. A nuclear meltdown was assured at that site before the tsunami hit. And 59 minutes later, that 120-foot wall of water came. And what did it do? It knocked out all of the electricity in the region that was still left after the quake. The reactors were already shut down automatically, but the backup power had started. And then that wall of water hit. When the backup power failed, which it did immediately because the pumps and all the equipment to run those diesel generators could not take that water, all of the power on the site stopped except for a minor amount of battery power. The site, within hours, was in what you call station blackout, which can happen at any reactor in any part of the world on any day for any reason that deprives that site of both off-site power and on-site power. Think of our tornadoes. Think of our huge hurricanes. Think of the ice storms. Think of all the things that bring down electricity. That is what melts a reactor, is the lack of electricity to the reactor. To the reactor. The reactor requires power to keep the liquid moving. When the liquid stops, the fuel melts. The fuel melted in units 1, 2, and 3. I have to look at my cheat sheet because the dates evade my mind. Because what happens also when the liquid stops is hydrogen gas builds up. And when hydrogen gas builds up, it can explode with the tiniest spark. So on the 12th of March last year, Unit 1 exploded. On the 14th, Unit 3, the fuel pool and the top of the reactor vessel were very likely blown up, not just the outer building. And that's the reactor that had MOX fuel. We know about MOX in this region. We're supposed to have it here soon, too. And by the 16th, our officials were telling U.S. citizens to move 50 miles away from the Fukushima site. What's the evacuation zone in the United States if Charlotte has a meltdown? What's the evacuation zone today? It is 10 miles. But if you were in Japan and a U.S. citizen, you were told 50 miles. How far away did they evacuate the 120,000 people who were moved? 12 miles. 12 miles. You won't be able to see this picture very well, but the red area is the big contamination zone. And the circle you can barely see is the 12 miles. And Tokyo's right at the bottom of the blue area in the margin of the page. 12 million people. There are millions of people living in Japan who have not been evacuated, who are living in contamination zones to one degree or another. The standards have been changed so that school children are allowed to have the same level that in the United States nuclear workers are subjected to with their knowledge. And this is just the hours they're in school. It doesn't count their hours at home or going back and forth to school. 20 times the adult limit in the United States is now legal for the people in Japan, for their children while in school, to be exposed 20 times higher than our legal limit here. And guess what? People have started going to the company that owns those reactors and saying, I have contamination. And that company has said, oh really? Congratulations. Because they can maintain that once it left their site, it doesn't belong to them anymore. It's not their problem. So all of this radioactivity that came out of Fukushima 1, 2, 3, and 4 is not TEPCO's problem. Beware. So we have it here. Just 40 miles away, there's 6,000 people living in similar levels of contamination in Erwin, Tennessee. And guess what? That's not an accident, and quite frankly, I don't think Fukushima was either. Who would have built reactors in a seismic zone when the Japanese experts and academics in the 1960s were saying, no, it's too much earthquakes here? Who would have done that? Huh? Well, it's a General Electric reactor. And guess what? We were still in a military occupation role to some degree in the reconstruction of Japan after World War II. These were U.S. government decisions that put Fukushima where it is. And it's a U.S. designed and built reactor by General Electric. And we have them all over the United States, 23 identical units. And the facility in Erwin that makes nuclear fuel for submarines and now reactors was built during the Cold War, the same Cold War that inspired Atoms for Peace, that said we have to have a positive use for nuclear technology. That's why Erwin was built right 40 miles from here, was to be a cover for the Cold War. Fukushima was the cover, Erwin was the Cold War. Both of them are government's decisions. So I need to wrap up, but we are rising. We are rising because we understand that this is one history. This is one family. We all live in Fukushima. We're going to hear about the issues south of here, but I just want to note that the existing Duke reactors could reproduce Fukushima here in a heartbeat. The existing reactors of Koni, only 70 miles from here, 60 maybe, are on a fault line, worse than anyone knew when they built them. We've discovered this past month that for 28 years, the backup power system that they would rely on if they lost power doesn't work. Doesn't work. 28 years. We've been lucky. Duke employees have done a good job. We didn't need it. We didn't have an earthquake, but it doesn't work. And finally, if there is an earthquake at the Akoni site, it will probably take out a dam upstream that will produce a 16-foot wall of water coming right at those reactors. That's not right here, but it's so close that we will be closer than Tokyo is to Fukushima were that to happen. So we are rising. We are rising. We are saying we do not have a nuclear future. We have a nuclear-free future. Yes. And I'd like to just for a moment acknowledge one of the peaceful warriors in our midst. We have so many peaceful warriors here today. But a woman who actually stopped a nuclear factory after it was already built, thank you very much. It was already there. And she said no, and she kept saying no, and she didn't stop saying no. And Ruth Thomas is here with us today. Thank you so much, Ruth.
I'm Anna Linda Metzner, and I thank all of you, these wonderful people who asked me to say a poem today. I wrote this only about 2 days ago by pulling together some things that I heard on the radio and saw on YouTube about and to commemorate this day. It's called Connect. Can you hear me? Yes. Connect. The shaman elder in Greenland weeps and sings into his wind drum as his mother, the big ice, sacred site of millennia, shrinks away to dwarf her former self. We sing, we cry, for her loss. In Bangladesh, rice farmers build their homes on stilts to avoid the big floods, the rising salty brine, leaving the ancient nourishment of the rice fields unfit to farm, cakes of salt where rich humus had been. We did not cause this, cry the people at the extremes of the world and at her center. But the cause is here, the origin right here, a gigantic failure of imagination, causing nuclear reactors of $11 billion each to arise where we might be catching the wind, where we could be reaching for the sun. Fukushima's lessons are set aside as couldn't happen here, forging on blindly in a way we know just doesn't work. The shaman elder in Greenland weeps and sings into his wind drum. Here, right here, is where the beautiful world tilts toward meltdown. Here where our children too will one day scratch the soil and weep, where we've gone too far, where she turns her back and goes, where this one precious home shrugs us off like pests and turns her face once again to the rich beauty we have forgotten to see.
All right, my name is Joshua Cole. I'm 21. I'm a student at AV Tech. I've been to Japan twice, and I just wanted to read this letter from a high school student that lives in Ibaraki Prefecture, which is one prefecture lower than Fukushima. Sorry. All right. She says, this is a letter to her teacher, by the way. How are you? We've moved to Okinawa. My father and sister are still in Ibaraki. It's certain that I'm getting health effects of radiation. I'm so sure, as I'm having various symptoms. Mainly my thyroid gland is swollen and I have nosebleeds and nettle rashes. My immune system seems to be a bit down. I'm so surprised myself at all these disorders I have on my body, and I was told by a doctor in Okinawa that if I was to remain in Ibaraki like that, I would probably have had to die soon. I know that you teachers are public servants, so you can't take actions as you would like, and you are not allowed to teach students about radiation. It was terribly painful to me when I discovered what the truth was, as I searched for information. Do you know how many people have died already? It is said that 10 years from now, this whole generation of my age is going to disappear, or even earlier. I'm so worried about my friends in Ibaraki. I am sending them information using the internet, but they are mostly quite pessimistic about their future, saying things like, I'm okay as long as things are going all right now, or there's nothing I can do, I cannot have children anyway. And my parents are public servants, so we can't easily move out of here. Yes, of course, a high school student discovering truth means nothing much. They can't tell their parents about it. They would just spend their time worrying. So don't you think that it is the teachers who can tell their parents about the horror of radiation? Yes, there's going to be a significant risk involved in that. But aren't children treasures for adults? It is only adults who can protect children now. Unfortunately, the government has put importance on the economy rather than the lives of children. If the cancer rates increase in the future, and if we say that's because of the radiation we had from Fukushima, they would probably deny the connection. They said, there's no immediate danger when the nuke plant exploded. I mean, what about the future? It is very clear that we will suffer in the future if we continue living like normal. I never think like, I'm okay as long as things are fine now. You can have your precious now moments anywhere fine. Your future depends largely on where you are now. I am so truly glad to be here in Okinawa, but what concerns me most is the future of children in Ibaraki, Kanto, and Tohoku areas. It is so scary. Nobody has done anything wrong. No one can be blamed. If there's anybody, it's the government and TEPCO. We are all victims. That's why I think you have to protect your own life, while parents have to protect the lives of their children. Please investigate the truth about radiation. Please tell that to many people and protect your precious students. After that, many people and protect your, after that, each individual can decide what to do. Please take care of yourself, eat safely, and don't catch viruses through the air. Thank you for reading. And a phrase that might be read aloud today in Japan is Genpatsu wa iranai, which means we need to stop nuclear. Thank you.
As you can see, right here it says no nukes in Gaffney, South Carolina. 60 miles from here, just over the border into South Carolina, Duke Energy wants to build 2 reactors. The same controversial 2 reactors that they're putting at Vogtle, the AP1000. It's going to be called the William States Lee if it happens. I'm Laura Sorensen, and along with members of Safe Carolinas, that's based here in Western North Carolina, we're determined to stand firm against its licensing and construction, because we know radiation has no boundaries. And lessons learned from Fukushima have not been implemented by the NRC. The NRC's job is to protect the public. We say protect us by never building another nuclear plant again. And stop relicensing of these old plants. And we say to Duke Energy, the North Carolina Utilities Commission, the North Carolina General Assembly, and the federal government, stop putting the huge financial burden of these new plants on the shoulders of the American people. We should not have to pay pre-construction costs as ratepayers. And if Wall Street won't back nuclear loans, why should we, the taxpayers, with billions in loan guarantees? Well, to answer my own question, follow the big corporate money who can lobby and buy North Carolina and U.S. congressional members. And if the Duke Progress merger happens, imagine the monopoly of power that they'll have with 7 million customers in 6 different states. CEO Jim Rogers of Duke Energy has publicly said in writing, in order to get these new nukes rolling, we need the merger. We also need annual rate hikes without the public hearings. Sign our petition that we have to stop the merger. We have it at the table, I think a lot of you have. And call up your local representatives in the North Carolina General Assembly and say, we do not ever want a bill to reach legislation in the North Carolina House that would okay annual rate hikes. We have many contentions as Safe Carolina. We went to the hearings. A lot of you went to the NRC hearings and objections of this plant. And we have them on a little card with our contact information if you'd like to get in touch with us or come to our meetings. Now, we are so lucky here in Western North Carolina, in Asheville. We have people like Chris with the Sierra Club. We have people like Mary Olson with NEARS. We have all these fellows at Physicians for Social Responsibility. We have Coleman with Earth First, New South Network. Who have I left out? Western North Carolina has helped us. Canary Coalition has helped us, all of them. And a special thanks to Katie Hicks from North Carolina for Green Water. But the citizens of Gaffney, South Carolina are not so lucky as us. A small town of 13,000. They're burdened with the possibility of a new nuclear plant literally in their backyard. We're only 60 miles from there. That's our backyard. But their backyard is across the street from their house. So, what we did is we went down to talk to a few people because Duke is moving out people out of their homes, buying, paying them to move out of their homes to make way for cooling ponds. So a few of us went down there. Katie Hicks, Ray Hearn, can you come up? And I went down and spoke to some folks down there, and our hearts really broke. And we were surprised later to get a letter from Mary Brockington, which Ray is going to read. The first letter is the thank you, and the second letter is the letter she wrote to the NRC.
Howdy. I live out in Sandy Mush. You all have heard of Sandy Mush. There ain't gonna be no dumping Sandy Mush. It was a great honor and privilege to go with Katie Hicks and Laura Sorensen down to Gaffney to see what the local people feel about the projected nuclear reactors. We were shocked to find out that they didn't know much. And this is a letter. First I read the letter that Mary Sue Brockington and her husband wrote. We thank God for the group of ladies who gave up their Saturday to come speak to residents about the nuclear plant Duke Power has been planning in our backyard. Like most others in our area, we thought it was a done deal, and no one ever asked us, the residents, for our input. It's so late now, and many people don't have computers or email possibilities. We are emailing through our friends and sending snail mail too. Enclosed is a copy of our letter to let you know we are following up anyway. We remain your servants. With special thanks to Katie Hicks, Miss Hicks, because she really helped pull this together. All right, then the letter that Mrs. Mary Brockington wrote to the Nuclear Regulatory Commission. Please do not ignore this letter as you have the residents of this area. I live on Victory Trail Road in Gaffney, not far from the proposed nuclear plant. I was just today made aware at approximately 3 o'clock in the afternoon that there had been meetings concerning the plant being opened. No one has ever consulted anyone of my household, told us of any meetings concerning this matter, and now I find that Duke Power officials have said that there have been no objections in meetings we were not informed of. Why were the residents of Victory Trail, Darby Road, Edward Road, and Old Barn Road, Grace Road, Jimmy Road, and White's Road not informed of meetings? I am writing on behalf of the many people who do not know who to object to. The only reason they have not been heard, we are the ones who will be subject to cancers from air and water pollution. And my daughter-in-law next door, my granddaughter and grandson living with us, add their objections too. Please give us a chance. Most sincerely, Mary Brockington, William Brockington. And I want to say, these people, many of them, we would consider living in, well, poverty. Most people around there are living in trailers. They don't appear to be well maintained. These are people who are not computer savvy, or at least they don't have their computers and internets at home. They have not been informed, and we here in Asheville, I pray to the goddess and the gods as we can to be informed and do all we can to stop this nonsense. Thank you.
This poem was written in 1980, so to all of us who have been continuing on for quite a while, this is called Legacy. I clutch at my eyes when I think of you, Nuke. I remember your soft hum and your icy aura, and I always think, we've gone too far. I cannot grasp it. How can it be that you could one day melt at your core and someday melt down the core of me, and my baby one day could arrive with no legs or no eyes? Will there be school children one day in 1,000 years maybe? They will visit our monument. Here we guard the plutonium. Before now, they left to us Stonehenge, harpsichords, aqueducts, Bibles, but we are leaving an unspeakable poison, almost eternal, a ceaseless worry visited on all yet to be born. I clutch at my eyes when I think of you, Nuke. My heart twists in pain. Shamefully, inwardly, I beg, oh, my sweet earth, oh, my mother, I am sorry, so sorry. Come spinning down to the arrow. Come spinning down to the green. Come spinning down through
Tower over there, over at